flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business during public comment will be our new fire chief, Rich Burke, will be introducing his chiefs. And take it away. Would you go there?
Hi folks, thank you. First order of business for myself will be, and I'm sure from the chief staff, is to thank Frank Mazza for his past chief Mazza for his 17 years of service as the fire chief for the village and the town of Malta. So, it's a long time that he served in that role, and he's been through a lot and put us in a pretty good shape in the organization. So I wanted to go on record to say thank you for him for that. A little bit of background for myself, and I brought the assistant chiefs with me tonight. First assistant chief Ed Cameron, and second assistant chief Sean Flynn. They're both going to do the same thing I'm going to do, is give you a little bit of background about myself, where I come from, what I do, and a little bit about my background in the fire service. Knowing that I'm replacing somebody that's been in the tenured role for a long time, my thought process was to kind of put the board at a little bit of ease and the public a little bit of ease, that knowing that there's people that are competent that are taking over in those roles, right? So myself, I'm a manager down at the Waterford Momentum plant, used to be GE. I run the siloxanes area for the plant. Put it in perspective for you guys. I'm a small fish in that pond, but my budget annually that I have to deal with in the plant is about $15 million. So I have to manage that through payroll, costs and benefits, maintenance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fire service, I've been in the fire service about 29 years. I started in the plant, actually. We have a fire department in the plant. That's where I actually started. From there, I kind of went out into the volunteer world. I was an officer in Half Moon for quite a number of years, and then I moved up to Rock City Falls in Saratoga. I was an officer there for quite a while, and then I came home here to Round Lake. I've been an officer there for a good number of years, and assistant chief for 3 years, and now the newly elected chief. So I want to say thank you, and my phone's always on. I'm open through email, communication, whatever the issues may be, or whatever you need. I'll get back to you and definitely turn around and respond for the public and for the board. So with that, I'm going to introduce Ed Cameron, and he's going to do kind of the same thing. And then after these guys are done, I'll get into kind of the chief's report.
Alright, so I'm Ed Cameron. I'm one of the assistant chiefs. Been in the assistant chief role for going on 12 years now. Total of about 4 years in the fire service, all here in Round Lake. For work, I work at Knowles Atomic Power Lab. I'm an engineer. They're currently working on the Columbia class ballistic missile sub program. Also in the fire brigade there. So firefighter, EMT, hazmat tech, and recipe technician there. Site fire brigade. My quick background.
Good evening, everyone. Sean Flynn, second assistant chief. I've been with Round Lake now for 17 years, past 10 years as captain. I also served in the Buskirk Fire Department before I came here, where I served as second assistant chief and a member of the board of directors and the training officer there. My day job, I'm the executive director for a small not-for-profit, so I basically run a not-for-profit as my day job. Finance, budgeting, communications, governmental affairs. I used to be the director of governmental affairs for the Nurses Association, so I've quite a background in that. I also work remotely. I live up in Luther's Forest, but I'm around during the day, so the three of us, you probably see me most during the day. Not always, I still have to work, but I definitely am the daytime person who will be around mostly. Thank you.
Thank you. So get into the report for everybody for the end of the year. We had 607 calls through 2023, so about a 10% or so increase over last year. So a lot of thanks for membership, obviously, to being able to respond to those emergencies. It's a lot that we ask out of our members. December we had December of last year was 57 calls. January to date already we're at 35. So just to give a heads up, we're averaging 2 calls a day or so already. Training hours last year. I know the mayor had asked for an email. I'd sent it, but I plan to talk to it tonight. There were 1,700 hours our folks put in for outside training events. That's just classes, whether it be seminars, whatever that case may be. There was a good number of hours on the outside of what we asked out around Lake, right? Our Round Lake training hours for our drills and our stuff that we have in house 3,600 hours of training. So, you know, that's a lot of commitment out of our members, right? So total that all up, it's about 5,400 hours of training hours alone, not to mention what we spend on calls and so on for Aston County and all the other little extra things that Santa Express, et cetera, and so on, right? So big commitment that our organization is asked to give on a daily basis, right? Santa Express, from my understanding, I think Frank may have mentioned it last meeting, but again, I think it went very, very well. Chief Flynn actually was the organizer of that event. We had 3 trucks out with 3 Santas, and trying to manage them all so they don't interface with each other was quite an event. We've done it 2 years in a row now, and it actually seems to be a big hit. I think this year we tweaked the routes a little bit more, and actually I think we have some tweaking to do again next year. But you know, I think from what I can see, I was in the route in the village. I have been for the last 2 years in the village. It seemed like it was very well taken in from the folks in the village. So any improvements you folks want to see with that, please reach out, let me know, and we'll get it incorporated into the route for this coming year. One order of business I think the board and Gary is probably going to talk to is we're asking for the resolution to sign the contract for the replacement of the new 5401. So I believe you guys will have that in front of you, and I'll let Gary talk more to that later. And I can answer any questions that may come up during that if you need to. And people recognition, I want to recognize some people that take time, that are extra time in classes. Nate Williams recently completed the IFO portion of Firefighter 1. And just for you folks and for knowledge, that's a 135-hour class to complete that class. So I wanted to take the time to thank him for that as well. I think that's all I have. Unless somebody has
You want to mention why you're asking me to sign it now when it's not going to be delivered for 3 years
Yeah, so if we
or paid for?
if we have to sign, if we sign now, we avoid about potentially 10% price increase. You know, deliver these 3 years later. Actually could potentially be even more. Right now they're running around 36 months, even though the contract says 21 to 30, whatever it is. I think it's 30 or something like that, but for a realistic number from Suffolk is about 36 months. So that actually puts us a little bit ahead of schedule on our replacement of 541. When I say a little bit, less than a year. And the other part of that is we get the biggest bang for the buck that we can when we sell 541. So there's a lot of other culminations in there that you know, the way the town growth has been, and the way we've had to change our firefighting operations, this will actually mirror the truck that we had gotten 5 years ago. So it'll actually make operationally training, it'll cut hours down on training. Operationally, it'll actually increase our ability to be working out of the same consistent type of a truck. So that's why we're asking to actually sign the contract into it a little bit early. What we're doing with the funding is looking at the budget, and as long as the numbers stay the same, we'll probably pay for half of the truck or more in cash, and then probably bond it like we did with the last 542 for about that 5-year window of balance. I'm anticipating that we'll probably pay for more than half in cash. So bond payment on 542 shouldn't be any more than what it was when we had 542 for that 5 years. So does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Do you still have 542?
Yep.
You do. I mean, so what's the future for that?
So what we did with the growth was we had to buy some trucks and buy them early out of sequence, right? So my plan would be moving forward was put the brakes on, right? And then get us back into a replacement schedule. What that'll allow us to do is A, get us back into the schedule on time, and B, it'll allow us to understand what the future growth looks like and design the next truck to replace the next truck in kind, but understanding what that need may be. It may not be anywhere near what we have right now for the next truck.
When did you spec this truck out?
I'll let Chief Flynn talk to that because he's actually spearheading the committee that actually designed that truck, and he can probably talk to the timing and how long it took just to get one.
It was a while back.
Yeah, so the last 2 trucks were 2018 deliveries for 2017 with spec, and you know they were built around the unique challenges of our district. And it's interesting because both the village as well as some of the new development in the north end of our district are pretty similar. We have narrow streets, and particularly during the winter, there's going to be places we just can't get down those streets. So they carry a lot of ground ladders, they carry a lot of hose. We can stop at the end of a block and reach a house down at the other end, and that's something that there's no department in the capital district that can do what we can do now with that. So what we did with the new truck is we just basically made a copy of the last truck. Costs have gone up dramatically. The cost of that truck has doubled in 6 years. So the other challenge there is making sure that we're trying to keep them as similar as possible. So just like cars or SUVs or anything, they change them every so often, and we're getting very lucky that we're going to be able to build something that's identical to it. And the delays, 3 years sounds like a long time, and it is. But that's part of the issue with the cost to the manufacturer. They're trying to guess what things are going to cost 2 years from now, and they have to start ordering parts.
And there's another challenge that goes along with that. New York State is changing the diesel regulations again. Anybody in DPW is probably aware of that. So we're trying to get a little bit ahead of that curve, because I don't want to buy a lemon right out of the gate, right? So I want to understand what that is, but that'll give us time to adjust going down the road, right? So we'll have something that's currently going to come in under existing regulations, which we're comfortable with, and we know if we're going to have fun. So Suffolk is actually limiting the number of chassis builds as well. So they're big, what's it, 10? I can't remember the
For
number.
our region, yeah, the dealer has already sold out for 2024. We haven't made it to the end of January yet, and there's a wait list.
There's a lot of production challenges.
Can you just talk briefly about how the selling of the older vehicles goes? I think you sold a vehicle to was it Edinburgh or something like a couple years ago? Like how does that, like just very high level, how does that work?
So the way a lot of departments do is there's brokers who will sell them. We decided to do something different with the last trucks. We sold them on Facebook, so we didn't pay the 5 to 10% broker fee.
Okay.
So all the money came to the department. Perth got the old ladder truck, and the old engine tanker went to Middle Granville, I believe,
Okay.
up in Washington County. And I'm connected with people in different counties that surround us, so I'm able to figure out who's looking for things, and then someone will know someone who will know someone. If we got stuck, we might have to go back to a broker, but we have sold those 2 trucks, our old boat and our old Argo, the exact same way. We had them sold within a couple of weeks.
Okay, and does that is it like an appraisal system? So how does the sale negotiated?
The nice thing we can use, even though we don't use a broker, they have websites, so we know exactly what similar trucks are going for. We can go a little bit lower because we don't have to worry about the broker fee, but generally we've been pretty close to asking.
Market price.
Yeah,
Okay.
We haven't had to discount very much, and they were all pretty local. So if we hadn't gotten a response from surrounding counties, the next step would be go to some statewide resources and some national. I'm helping a friend of mine in Cambridge do that right now with one of their trucks. So there's, before we get to the point where we'd have to actually pay a broker, there's lots of options available to us.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. Well, maybe it's a question. I think I saw that the governor's budget for 2024 was supposed to have money for fire services.
Yes,
I don't know
so
if you saw
actually,
that.
I'm glad you mentioned it. I've already had a kind of discussion with the mayor, and I think Tom had heard me too, is we're actually going to investigate the use of hiring a grant writer. Right, so, I can write a grant, you could write a grant, but the way a grant writer is gonna write the grant are completely different. And actually, if we hire the right grant writer that can come in as a lobbyist, they can actually kind of push that grant for us and kind of dot those I's and cross those T's and help us out along the way. So, it's the adage, you wanna pay for it or not, but, I look at it as if we pay $10,000 for a grant writer. An example, right now, we're looking to replace air packs. They're gonna be pretty close to timing out. She's very familiar with the process, at least the one that I've interviewed and talked to so far. She's very, very confident that, she can get us money towards those air packs, right? So, multiply 30 some air packs that we have to buy at, let's just say $15,000 a piece, do the math, it's almost $500,000, right? They can probably, she's pretty confident, get us in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $280,000 towards those air packs. So it's just a lot less money than we would have to pay out of pocket, right? So it's one of the things I'm working on for this year is to get a grant writer on board with us. And for her, she pretty much explained that as long as it's an ethical grant and there's a need for it, I can write as many as you want, right? So we're working on investigating and using those services.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, on to public comment. Okay.
I hate being asked, but I still don't have a street sign on my street.
Again.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Well, Washington Avenue. I
I don't
also
know why
have,
it keeps.
I know, I think it was from that car accident, but it hasn't been there since.
I don't think it has been replaced since he's brought it up a couple times.
Cars.
It was replaced maybe once, but then
But I think it's
no.
It hasn't been since the car accident.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, New York had the same problem, that one kept going missing as well.
But this has been not there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also brought up, we should have a light on the flag out here. It's not gonna take it down.
Working on it.
We're working on that.
Okay, and New York Avenue is, something should have been done with that when they repaved it. The house that's downhill from my mother's, water washes out of the ditch, and runs across the road.
Yeah, I talked,
Freezes, so it's real.
I'll talk to John again about it, we discussed that a couple
Yeah,
weeks ago.
Something needs to get done. It's kind of scary for me.
Well, certainly he's got to,
Wheeling down there, I'm thinking.
certainly.
I also have a suggestion, we're gonna spend all that money on that ramp out there, maybe we should do a heated ramp, and then we wouldn't have to salt it all the time. I don't think it would cost all that much to do that if you're tearing it all up to start with. You know, it's just a matter of putting some plumbing and a hot water heater and a switch. Somebody turns the switch on or, heats that up. Now, you won't have to salt it, which is
Yeah.
gonna lead to a lot less problems with the railings. So,
Peter, you want to make a note of that? Anything else? Anybody? Thank you, Jim. Johnny's not here, he gave me his report, one of the trucks needs a new clutch, and I think Eric's going to mention. The chlorine analyzer had to be replaced at a cost of about $7,000, or the ejector, I think. And obviously they've been plowing and snowing, plowing and salting. And that's all I remember from the report. Treasurer.
Let's see, the cash you need to purchase flowers for Bill Ryan, funds were taken from the auditorium cash box. So we're asking for a resolution to refund the auditorium account from the village celebrations account, decreasing the auditorium account $8.708 by $30, decreasing celebrations $875.50.4 by $30.
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
Do we not have petty cash?
We do.
Right
Yeah, we exactly what happens.
Okay, fair enough.
This happened very quick.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yeah.
Second item, the DPW equipment maintenance account is overencumbered by $1,937.24. This line item has been punctuated by vehicle expenses this year. $8,700 on the 2000 International recently. Also, we just received an estimate for a clutch repair that Gary was just talking about for the 2011 International for $10,300. Based on the initial budget of $25,000 for this account and the time of year, this account should have about $10,500. So I'm asking for a resolution to transfer funds from UFB account to eliminate the overencumbrance and fund the account through the rest of the fiscal year. And that is increasing the DPW equipment maintenance account, $851.32.41 by $22,737.24. Decreasing the UFB account, $859.90 by $22,737.24.
I'll move it. Second.
Second.
Discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes.
The last item, the water purification account, F8330.4 is over encumbered by $597.40. It was originally budgeted with $12,000, and an unexpected replacement of the chlorine monitor system and sensor cost the village $7,276. Additionally, replacement of the Victoria's Landing master meter is required. It is not yet billed, and the guesstimate for that replacement cost is another $10,000. $5,000 should be remaining in the account for this time of year, again, based on the initial fund amount and the time of year. So I'm requesting a resolution to transfer funds from the UFB account to fund this water account through the rest of the fiscal year. That would increase the water purification contractual account F8330.4 by $15,597.40, decreasing unfunded balance account F5990 by $15,597.40.
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
So what happened to the Victoria Landing master meter? It can't possibly be that old.
It's not that old. We were talking about it today. It's only about 15 years old. Johnny, I think initially didn't like the meter, suspected maybe it was a bad unit, and over time it just wore faster, I guess.
It's not under warranty or anything, I assume after 15 years.
Not after 15 years.
I think the ones that we have in the village are, I think 23 years old, something like that. Still working.
Yeah.
How often do we need them? How often do they wear around?
I have no idea.
Just wondering, if somebody ran over with a truck or something.
I don't. It sounded like it was a.
Underground.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Tom?
Yes.
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 Jason?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Chief Peter, Code Enforcement Officer.
Things have slowed down due to the weather in the village, not a lot of construction going on, although tomorrow they'll be digging a 320-foot deep geothermal loop in one of the houses in the village. I think there'll be a crowd here, everybody's interested in seeing how this is gonna work.
Which house?
What?
Jack Tuck's old house,
Jack Tuxell.
next to Gary Jones.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. It's a closed loop system. So it just blows me away to say they're gonna go down 320 feet with two, somehow connect them down there 320 feet down. I don't know how they do it. But they are. It's a continuous loop, I should say. Down, you can come back up.
Probably something with directional boring.
All right, it's gonna be interesting to see, you know. I just find it interesting.
Fascinating.
What time is that?
What?
What time is that?
You know what, I
Where you
don't
wanna
know.
go?
I haven't seen the delivery today.
Who's
so
selling
I don't
tickets?
She said there'll be heaters out in the porch if anybody's interested, come and watch.
The last time we went that deep in the village, didn't they blow up the well?
The well, yeah. We might have a new well.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw dynamite down the hall.
That's it.
That's it, okay. Parking enforcement, animal control.
Since the last meeting, I only put one warning out, that's all I found, and turned out to be the postal lady, but we cured up Second Avenue anyway.
Okay, auditorium. Very
Excuse me. So January and February are the months when the entire auditorium season should be finalized. All the details of all the events should be understood and budget numbers put together. It is time to start thinking about cleaning, minor improvements, major improvements, collaborations, marketing, PR, social media, new initiative, volunteers, parking, etc., etc. One of the new initiatives that's being explored right now is a ticketing platform for advanced ticket sales. We found this to be very advantageous to be able to buy tickets before the events. It allows us to plan ahead and provides the ability to reach out to different people for future events. Last year, we used Eventbrite, and recently they changed their fee structure. So we are exploring other platforms. Next month, I will report what platform we're looking at and would like to go forward with for the '24 season. We are also going to request a new iPad to be purchased to allow for smoother transactions, reliability, and the larger screen will be so much more user-friendly for staff and volunteers. Right now, we're using like a iPhone 1. It will also allow us to have multiple apps open at the same time, which could be helpful when we're there and or here. It is my understanding that the tapping versus swiping chip readers are more secure, so it will allow us also to tap. In regards to equipment, I understand that AP3 received $1,500 for auditorium equipment from Global Foundries. That will be a great help, I hope, for improving the sound over there. One minor improvement would be, I would recommend, is to fix all the broken windows and latches so that the building is more secure and there's a lot less problems. If you have not watched the Oregon Media Foundation video on the Round Lake Auditorium website, I would suggest to be sure to watch it. It has had like 3,000 hits over the last 3 months. It'll give you immense insight into the workings of this national landmark that we happen to have. And it's really informative to see the inner workings of that organ and what it does and what it needs. And then in order for the board to be as proactive as possible in hiring a new director, I propose a plan that would have someone in place sometime in April. Personally, I would like to thank Lydia Hoffman for all her time, her knowledge, and expertise that she has given to the auditorium in so many ways. There's nobody here from VB3, but she was there all the time and for whatever we needed, and she always gave her all. And we'll miss having Lydia here on a daily basis. And that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Report. Well, I'm going to start with the AP3 annual meeting. It was determined that Lydia was going to step down, and I want to thank her for all of her efforts and hard work to establish AP3 as a separate entity within the village for the association to preserve, protect, and plan involving the history of Round Lake. So at that meeting, the changes that came up is Scott Rigney is going to be the new president, and Lauren Zell is the new secretary. So congratulations to both of them. And then on the clerk report, there's a couple of things. Water and sewer payments are coming in and processing them daily. Late payments are still being accepted, and they should include the fees and penalties. The post office update, Amy and Oz are permanent postmaster and clerk to the Round Lake Post Office. They're trying to clean up a few years worth of disarray from the multiple temporaries. So be on the lookout for their correspondences. Let's see, we had successful sale of holiday items, including calendars, t-shirts, CDs, and ornaments, all to benefit the auditorium. T-shirts are still available, and the calendars are discounted now, down to $10. Hopefully we could get rid of the rest of them. And then Scott Rigney recently met on the historian piece, but Scott Rigney met with a Ron Case, who's a historian and writer who's interested in writing a piece on the village, and there will be more details to come. Thank you.
I've got a question about the water bills. Do you know if somebody's paying online and they're paying with penalty, does it automatically add that on
I believe it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you. Under old business, business, the auditorium bell tower and municipal ramp update. Peter has a few words on that.
Well, we have prices on the ramp and the railing, but now we're changing the railing to possibly be aluminum, and now I'll look into putting have some sort of heat put into the ramp itself which sounds like a good idea, so
Yeah.
we'll take those two prices and throw them out the window for now and see what he comes back with for new prices on that, on the ramp. Otherwise, he's set to go this spring. He sent us a contract, gave us prices, we're ready to go with but we want to change the railing and now maybe the heat. The bell tower, a number of people have looked at it, so I have a number of companies putting in prices on rebuilding it. The first one we got was wanted to move the tower away from the building and put it on the lawn. And they actually, came, looked, they were willing to rebuild the current cupola. They think they could fix it and put it on top, but their tower is only be about 35 feet tall, made out of 10 by 10 oak, and their price probably would be about $90,000 to do that outside. So, I think that would eliminate us from getting any kind of grant money. Once we move that away from the building, that seems like it's not a good direction to go in. So I have two other companies looking at putting it right back where it was. I've contacted SHPO and the Preservation League on helping us somehow pay for this endeavor, which I'm going to guess is somewhere about $120,000, $140,000 for the bell tower. And it makes no point in replacing the bell tower because you're going to have to paint it. You might as well paint the whole building. We have an estimate of $80,000 to come in and repair the rotted wood and paint the whole building. So we're probably looking at something well over $200,000 to do the whole job.
And then the roof too, right?
What's that?
And then the roof?
Well,
we did the worst of the roof.
Okay.
The roof is a third done, a quarter done, and the rest of it seems fine.
Okay.
We still got a couple of years there.
So do we have to go out to RFP for them
Yeah, we will.
because of the price?
Yeah, because of the price. That could affect the ramp, because the ramp actually the prices for the ramp is like $33,000 and $2,000 for the railing. And once we start messing around with it, he may go over $35,000, and then we have to RFP.
We put that one out, we did an RFP for the ramp once
And nobody
got-
responded.
got no bids.
So I went out and looked, searching for contractors. So anyway, that's what's going on with it. We're working on it, and people are eager. Some of the companies are very eager. One is an Amish company, and the other is very eager. They work with the Preservation League, eager to come in and do the work. So if you see people up there measuring and looking, that's what they're doing. So that's where we're at.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate it. Okay, next, Slick Fiber, the company that has been installing fiber in the village. They will be giving a presentation at our February 21st meeting. In fact, the CEO mentioned that they might have some customers online by that time, so things are moving along very well with them. And under new business, you should have in front of you resolution for the purchase of the fire truck. I will read it. Whereas First Chief Richard Burke, in consultation with First Assistant Chief Ed Cameron, Second Assistant Chief Sean Flynn, and President of Round Lake Hose Company #1 Michael Dreher, has recommended to the Village Board of Trustees the purchase of a how was that pronounced? Suffin heavy-duty custom pumper delivered within 18 to 21 months for the sum of $1,283,420.00 pursuant to the proposal and purchase agreement for Suffin fire apparatus annexed hereto and made a part hereof, and whereas Richard Burke has discussed this recommended purchase with the Board of Trustees in open session at its January 17th, 2024 meeting, and whereas the trustees find this equipment to be sound and consistent with the village's equipment replacement policy, now therefore it is resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute and deliver the purchase agreement for Suffin fire apparatus substantially in the form annexed hereto, to execute and deliver any additional documents and to provide any additional information necessary to complete this purchase.
I'll second.
Matt seconds. Discussion? Tom?
Yes, I just had a comment on it. This is another truck, and we've had a pretty smooth ride with you guys over the past decade or more. And it's just good to know that, you know, it seems like it's all the planning, pre-planning and replacement planning is a pretty good program you guys run. So thanks, I guess. Yes.
Sounds like a yes. Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes. And along these lines, a late entry is the hose company lease that you should have in front of you as well.
Pass them all down.
You do? You will. This is an annual thing we do. Nothing has changed since in the last number of years. Take a glance
The
at it.
dollar amounts are the same as last year. The only thing that's really changed is the dates.
Okay. The only thing that's changed is the what, Tom?
Dates.
Oh, the dates, okay.
This is a leap year, so we actually get one bonus day. No, not prorated.
So this isn't just a lease, so we also, this is the contract that we owe the company, the fire department, $40,000, $40,500.
I'm sorry, what was that, Eric?
This isn't just a lease, this is also says that we owe them $40,500 in 8 years.
Yep.
That's what we pay for the lease.
Yeah. What, we pay them for the lease?
Yes.
Okay.
The
so
hose
now-
company
now I
owns the
know.
building.
They own the building.
We own the equipment.
So we pay them to keep it there.
We pay them to keep our equipment there.
Who owns the land?
Land, I would imagine, the hose company.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like, it almost seems like it's an upside down
Yeah.
world.
That's how it works.
We have to have a place to put the fire equipment that we technically own.
So a motion authorizing you to sign this lease?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Good with that, Sue? A motion for authorizing you to sign.
Tom and I seconded.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Me? Yes. Next, amend personnel policy, RE COVID absence. The relevant portion is towards the bottom of the first page. I'll read that. And whereas the Center for Disease Control recommends, this is the changes to the personnel policy for sick leave. Whereas sick leave policy of the personnel policy of the Village of Round Lake reads as follows. There's a section that is remaining the same under entitled sick leave until you get to this, which we will be inserting. And whereas the Centers for Disease Control recommends 5 days of leave for employees who have tested positive for COVID-19, now therefore it is resolved that the personnel policy is amended by addition of the following language to be inserted following bereavement and before personal time: COVID-19. An employee who tests positive for COVID-19 and provides the village clerk or mayor with such diagnosis in writing form from a medical professional may take 5 additional paid sick days.
I'll make the motion that we change the policy.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Yeah, second, discussion?
I'm just curious as to, so if somebody comes down with COVID, they're gonna get 5 additional sick days, paid sick days. That's fine. How do we know that, well, let's say the COVID, they continue to test positive for COVID beyond 5 days? No pay for those days?
So the current CDC policy says that you can return with a mask after 5 days of isolation. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But I mean, if you're too sick, I mean, let's face it, then you can't, regardless. So are we gonna, what's gonna happen after the 5-day paid period is over?
It would revert to their regular sick pay?
It would revert to regular sick pay, and I would imagine we would revisit it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I'm just curious about, is if somebody comes down with COVID, and they bring in a letter saying, I have COVID, do we have any way to monitor or ask them to follow this through with a medical professional? In other words, how do we know that somebody's just not going to go home, just sit on the couch for 5 days and hope he gets better?
Well, it won't be, I mean, he certainly can do that, but if he would be using their sick pay, their sick leave, unless they provide something in writing saying, yeah, he took a PCR test and it was COVID.
Yeah.
So.
The reason why I was suggested and was put in the writing from a medical professional is you can't just take a rapid test and
Right.
say I have COVID.
Yeah.
We have to, in order to provide the sick time, I think it's fair to have an attestation from a medical professional.
We don't need an attestation that the COVID is gone.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what our policy, I don't recall our policy. I know we did some stuff with masking way back when it was required, but I don't know if we have an official policy on return to work, but it's just, it's CDC guidance.
I don't want to make more than a...
No, I don't think we need to, yeah.
Just curious.
This came about because
Yeah.
it actually happens.
As changes in policy and law often do. Something happens and then you realize, wow, we should do something about that.
Okay, that's discussion. It was moved and seconded.
Yep.
Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes. And third item, CSLAP, Citizen Statewide Lake Assessment Program. The report was emailed to all residents for whom we have email addresses. This is the DEC stewardship program that monitors Round Lake from like May to August. And we are by far the busiest station that they have in their program. So if anybody doesn't have it and you want it, just let me know. I'll send you a copy of it. Susan has,
Right, I have a copy in the
Perfect.
office if anybody wants to see it.
oh, that's the whole thing, good.
Mhm.
We could probably put that up on our website too.
Right.
And next is village contributions to fire department preliminary discussions. This is open, sent you a few of my thoughts, circulated them around, so now it's time. Can you let me know what?
Can I ask a question of the attorney? On this, on the open meetings law? If this is a negotiation or a pre-negotiation, isn't this covered under executive session that we are permitted to discuss negotiations in executive session.
What negotiation are we talking about?
The one we're going to have right at this minute.
It's not really a negotiation
Well, it's the beginning of a negotiation.
between which two parties?
Well, I assume between ourselves at the behest of another municipality.
I
Yeah.
do not see,
Forget about the other municipality,
And
because no other municipality has a say in what we do.
I understand that.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
this is an open session
Okay.
matter. I do not see a legal way to go into executive session.
Okay. Thank you.
yes, no, stupid idea, good idea?
I have no, I would like to see any kind of I don't know what's been discussed, what hasn't been discussed, so it's kind of difficult to have any kind of discussion when.
Oh, we're starting the discussion.
Right, so why don't we start the discussion then before I provide any inputs?
Well, my first question is, who's driving the bus?
Yeah.
Or
truck.
Frank, it's a truck, yeah. Frank has been, Frank Mazza, the former chief, has mentioned this pretty much every year since I've been mayor. And before I was mayor, he probably mentioned it to you, he probably mentioned it at Dixie. So he's been, and it came about because the town of Malta, a couple board members raised a big stink that it's unfair and it's not equitable, and that the village of Round Lake doesn't pay anything towards towards the fire protection. And the history of it is, I think in 1949 or so, the town of Malta formed a fire district and imposed a fire tax. And if any of you know any different, tell me shut up and jump in, okay? This is as much as I've been able to figure out. So a fire tax was imposed, and life went along, and I don't know if the association contributed or not. Nobody's been able to tell me that. But at any rate, in 68 or 69, the village was incorporated, and again, nothing happened. The Round Lake Fire Department continued to be funded by the town of Malta and covered the village of Round Lake and the town of Malta. I don't know when the fire department contracted with town of Ballston, but as I said, a couple of the board members were very unhappy that Round Lake didn't pay anything to contribute to the fire protection.
But just so, fill in one blank, we did for a number of years extend a cash payment directly to the fire department.
I've heard that, I haven't been able to find any.
Yeah,
I
know it as fact, I just don't know how it was done. And I think it was in the vicinity of $15,000.
It would have had to have been a line item.
It probably would have, and I know I've talked to Fred about this and others. Yeah, and he recalls it. I think Tom Peterson remembers it. So we did, so there's precedent in that we did.
But back then, I think we were more the population center of the town.
And then as it grew, the former mayor prior to me decided there was no further reason to make the contribution. So it was suspended. And so we haven't done anything technically. I mean, we haven't done anything with actual dollars. We've done other things, but.
I mean, we pay $40,500 to lease the space.
Right, that's money that comes in from Malta.
Yes.
So here's what I don't understand from all of this.
We have two new board members.
There's the fire department is an independent nonprofit. You have a contract with Boston Spa, Boston Lake, and Malta to provide services to them because they're entities. Is there no contract for covering the village of Round Lake?
No. That's what we would be negotiating.
Yeah.
Just to give some context, so this is what it gets confusing. So the hose company basically owns the building, they maintain the building, they pay the mortgage, insurance, all that stuff. The contracts are with the Village of Round Lake, both the Town of Alston contract and the Town of Wilson contract. So the entity that's being contracted with is the village, and because we're a village fire department, you don't have to contract with the fire department, you just have that lease that pays for
I
the
see,
building.
so the fire department is considered is a piece of the village of Round Lake.
We're a department just like the highway department or anything else.
Okay, I didn't quite realize that.
Well, going back to the, this, I guess it's an offer, now we should say now, what your first thought, I don't disagree with it, if we could get it, it'd be great. But, $12,000 in administrative, payment, that our people do to manage the fire department. The billing and all the other stuff that we do here, and that nobody else does. The town doesn't do this, the Boston doesn't do it. Just, we're the ones who are responsible for administrating the stuff that comes in. And you came up with a figure of $12,000, and there could be some other issues, monetary issues too. But I guess, without being asked to do this, why are we sticking our necks out?
You remember the 2-3 years back, Town of Malta asked us if we wanted to join them in forming an EMS district?
Yep.
We did it because it was the right thing to do. And I would say that this falls under that same category.
So if you took your, now, let me make another assumption, and correct me, please. There have been no discussions, other than the noise that was generated up in the town hall directed at us, other than that noise, there's been no response from the village, either formally or informally.
I met with the supervisor,
Okay.
the new supervisor,
Okay.
and expressed some displeasure at things that were said.
Yep. But there's been no offers made.
Oh, offers in what sense?
Well, I mean, we're sitting here now talking about a $12,000 offer. We're saying to them, look, in lieu of us being taxed as a municipality, property taxes,
That would be something we would have to institute on
Right,
ourselves, like we did with
absolutely.
the EMS thing.
But in lieu of that, to make you guys happy, we'll throw the 12,000, we'll administrate this thing. It's 12 grand, and that's our contribution.
Yeah. I mean, that's a starting, that was something that some of the, Fred Severs had mentioned.
I mean, the town of Malta doesn't bother. I mean, what they can pound dirt for all I care. I really don't care what they think about anything. Is we represent the village around Lake, and so and certainly what the host company's needs are. That's all I really care about. I could care less what they.
I do understand the fact that the contracts, there could be significant issues with the contracts if this became an issue. The fact that nobody in Round Lake pays a fire tax. Okay? Now, I understand that there can be a lot of animosity going back and forth because of that, but no one can ask us to tax ourselves.
No.
And I understand that. Why would we just throw this out there on the table as a negotiating point, having no idea what these people want? I mean, they may say $12,000. Are you kidding me? You got to pay a fire tax. I mean,
you have to start somewhere.
In my opinion, somebody has to approach us and ask for something. Us saying we have a responsibility to the residents of the village, a fiduciary responsibility. And so, in my opinion, until somebody comes to us and says this is what we need and why we need it, and nobody has come before the board and asked.
I don't think
and said this is what we need and this is why we need it, and then us to decide from that what the best interests of the village are.
I think it only escalates if you make the first offer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good way to negotiate. That's my personal feeling. I would sit on this until somebody came and said, we want you to do something. Whether that's through the fire department or the town,
Won't be the town.
I know
Won't be the
that
town of Malton, or won't be the town of Ballston.
I understand, but I know there's back channel discussions. I know people, how it works. And I just wonder why we would just go ahead and do this, impose this on ourselves, and then risk the possibility of it ain't good enough. Until we're forced to do something, why would we do it?
I wouldn't say forced, but I mean, I certainly can agree that.
I think somebody has to make a formal.
Entertain proposals.
Yeah, somebody has to make a formal.
For the next board
Request
meeting,
before the board.
which is February 21st, I think.
Yeah.
A proposal.
It's fine by me.
Yeah.
I just can't do anything with nothing. That's my point. Is I can't. I haven't heard from anybody. I haven't talked to anybody.
The
So.
purpose of this was if 4 people said, screw it, we're not doing anything. So this is just preliminary discussions,
Okay.
get a feel of what's going on.
My only question is, what would their net benefits be? Is there any, or does nothing change?
The town of Malta, what the town of Malta is worried about is that the cost of running fire protection services is increasing, and I understand why that is. And they don't want to have to pass the cost on to their people. So they're thinking that because we are not contributing in the way that they would like us to contribute, that therefore it's an easy way for them to have additional revenue coming in for fire protection that is not borne by the town of Malta. That's what the situation is. So they were complaining about it at the last, whenever these guys were negotiating at the town. And that was their solution to not increasing costs for the rest of the town of Malta. And that's where we're at now. But not one person has come before the board and said, this is the situation, this is what we need, and this is why we need it. And until that happens formally, I'm not.
But if the fire department is technically a village branch, say, I don't understand why, if the fire department is a village branch, why we would even have to negotiate anything.
Well, the DPW is a village branch, but we fund them.
Right. But, yeah.
Well, we technically, we don't fund anything. I mean, it's a pass-through. But we
With the
do
fire
do-
department, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do administrative
Right.
It's a pass-through, yeah.
work for them.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, I don't know why we would do this, but I would entertain if somebody came forward with a proposal,
Yeah.
then I have something to work with.
Yeah.
At this point, I really don't know. I don't know how any of this would be received. And while I understand, and we don't have to go through this, that they can't make us tax ourselves, there can be some repercussions on these contract negotiations.
Yeah.
The other thing I think, I don't know how you prorate what our contribution would be in taxable assessment per thousand, okay, compared to what they're paying in the town of Malta.
It would be about $90,000.
It would be about $90,000.
Which is about a 10.
So they could then turn around and reduce their,
And that's exactly what they would do.
and that's correct. They would reduce,
That is
they would
exactly
say,
what they would
we're gonna reduce our fire taxes.
We
by
cut taxes
again,
in
You can't worry about what other
I
towns are
understand.
negotiating. Wasting time.
Yeah. Our responsibility is to the residents around.
This is board discussion.
I think I've pretty much discussed
Yeah.
it.
So we'll table it till, just
Well, I mean, I'd like
put it
to
on the
see
agenda for next
somebody
month.
bring it up.
I'll mention this discussion to relevant parties.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to correspondence. Any correspondences?
Wait a minute, I'll go.
Sorry. I have nothing to do after all this.
There were two.
Let's go to approval of minutes.
Thank you.
We'll go back.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 20th annual meeting.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Approval of abstract?
Make a motion to approve the December abstracts in the amount of $115,791.94 to be approved per fund as follows. From the A fund, $68,298.55, F fund, $47,060.24, G fund, $433.15.
Second?
Second.
Eric? Yes, please, second. Discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Correspondence?
2 correspondences. I had a very nice older woman who came into the village office earlier this week and said how much she enjoyed the planters in front of the post office, that they always look so nice and they always put her in a good mood, and she enjoyed them very much. The other one was we had a message that was sent to us from a woman who performed in some of the older theater productions at the auditorium in 1990. And she was looking to see if we had any information, any pictures, any information on any of those theater things. So I contacted Dan Pexka, thank you. And I was told that he was known to sometimes video some of those. And sure enough, he has a library of VHSs of many of these theater productions from 1990s. And we're working to locate that particular one so that we can offer it to this woman so she can present it to her children and grandchildren. So, yay, Dan.
Convert those VHSs over, Dan.
Yeah.
It disturbs me to hear that 1990 was the old days.
Oh.
What's that?
Mr. Village Attorney, words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom are, I would like the board to go into executive session to discuss a lease proposal and the possible acquisition of real property.
Okay, we shall get to that. Mayor, no words of wisdom. Trustees?
Nothing.
Eric?
I think our June meeting is scheduled for a federal holiday. Juneteenth is,
Third Wednesday?
I think it is the same day, it's the 19th.
It is.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I want to just extend my condolences to the Ryan family. Passing of Bill Ryan a couple weeks ago was it December 30th? He passed away. Yeah. Obviously it meant a lot to the village for mayor, and just wanted to put it in the minutes that I extend my condolences to their family.
Very nice ceremony.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
Going to move public comment before we go into executive session. So, Bob, did you have something you
Yeah,
wanted
I
to say?
just had a question of what relation does the fire companies of Malta Parade Ground Village have with the fire department here?
Want to take it away?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but FCOM was created for joint services to share a station between Malta Ridge and Round Lake. So it is a station that houses both of our equipments. So basically think of it as the building owner, like the village is for up here for the hose company, right? The FCOM owns the building, but you own the trucks that are up there, Malta Ridge owns the trucks that are up there. So the money that comes in is basically a pass-through. It comes through us, from you, through us, and then back out to FCOM to pay all those light bills and mortgage, et cetera, building and expenses.
Okay. Does the host company have a contract with fire companies of Malta?
I don't think so.
No, it's the village would be the contractor because you're leasing the space.
Yeah.
Not the host.
That would seem to be the
That's-
case,
that's-
but I
that's
don't,
the lease,
I
that's
don't
that.
recollect a contract between the village and that entity.
But that's a line item in that lease.
It's a line item in the budget.
It's in the budget.
So it passes, yeah, I see what you're saying, it passes through the hose company to, yeah.
Right, but there's gotta be some agreement somewhere that describes what we pay and what they promise to do. But I don't know the whereabouts of that document.
We'll have to dig that up.
It is probably a unique situation in New York.
Well, I
What we
think, I
do-
think Round Lake is unique, so I don't think there's any other fire company that has two entities, is there?
I think there's one in the region, I can't
Is there?
remember where it's out.
Why is it set up that way? Is there a reason, or just because that's the way it was?
I think that's the answer. That's the way it was.
That's the way it was.
It wasn't broken, nobody tried to fix
That's
it,
what it was.
it just kept going.
Well, I think, yeah, Matt just hit it, but same thing I was gonna say, it's the reason we don't pay fire taxes, when we established the fire department.
Yeah.
In Malta, when Round Lake was the center of the universe in Malta. And we.
You didn't even have to say Malta, just period. Center of the universe.
Yeah, and then it just grew from there.
Yeah.
Just, you know, and that's why the stuff's still in our name.
Oh, it's sort of like you don't pay to eat at your own restaurant.
I kinda like to say, yeah.
We have a contract with them, they agreed to the price, that shouldn't matter what it costs us.
No, that
They
is
agreed to the
their
price and they have a contract, that's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
Escom's a unique situation, there's only, I think, one in the western part of the state, it's New York. It's a contract, you know, it's the building that is sharing two stations housing one building to try to minimize costs, upkeep and so on, et cetera.
Well, I think that has value, and that's why, like Eric said, you don't pay to eat at your own restaurant. And I think that's an argument against a payment, but it may not be the argument that makes most sense. But
Is there a current negotiation going on for a new contract with Malta?
No, it was November, right?
It's already been done, it's been done in time.
is it a year?
For
Rich?
Malta, it's 1 year, yes.
It's 1 year.
Yep.
I think
But for
Boston's
Boston, it's
two,
two.
right?
Okay.
So, last question, and this just exposes my ignorance about the fire department. How do you guys come up with your budget? I mean, more money is probably always good, but I mean,
Well, so we look at when we put the fire department budget together, we look at what the contract is gonna be from the town of Bolton, and what the contract is gonna be from the town of Malta. We add those numbers together. Off the top is a whole bunch of fixed costs, that right off the top, insurances, et cetera, clerk, and the fees that you mentioned that we pay to the clerk and stuff comes off the top of that budget, or clerk, treasurer, whatever, however, administrative expenses, I guess is probably the proper terminology. But there's a whole bunch of fixed costs. And then from there, there's a line item that goes to the host company directly. There's a payment, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but it's up to, according to laws, up to 35%. Goes all over to the host company to maintain the building, expenditures and so on. And the rest, I budget for, capital reserves for the new fire truck that's gonna be coming, training expenses, safety administration branch, which covers physical, et cetera, equipment maintenance and fuel.
so then all your planning for the how do I put this? A lot of growth in the area, so you have to build that into your planning for your budget and sizing everything.
Right, so we estimate based on last year's usage and what we're looking at for increases, and whatever money is left that we don't spend gets swept into the capital reserve account at the end of the year, which continues either build for future apparatus or future whatever we need to at that point in time. And if we need to dip into that, then we have to have a resolution and so on, I guess we'll not.
Just like us, right? Yeah. So then, and this is kind of the weird question I was trying to get at, is your financial position good, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, I think we are, yeah.
It's not like the failure or the village not paying you is hurting the efficiency or the effectiveness of the host company.
No, I think that what a lot of people struggle to see is to realize how much the fire service, the costs have increased over the last several years.
Yeah.
Just about everything on average is anywhere between 22 and 30%.
Well, you just said the
Across board.
trucks doubled in
Correct.
6 years.
And
Yeah,
that's
6
a
years.
prime
Yeah,
example, right?
yeah,
The truck we paid $600-some thousand for
yeah,
5 years ago is now almost $1.3 million.
yeah.
So, you know, everything is just escalating. Gear costs are now $6,000 a set. SCBA replacement can be as much as $15,000 per pack.
Yeah.
Radio costs are anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000 a radio. You know, even Chiefs cars today are $50,000. You know, so things are, you know, everything is just escalating in cost, and we're all feeling that at home too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, look at the average run at the grocery store these days. I can't get out of there for less than $80. You know?
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person or corporation and the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. That's it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
You
you
could
all.
choose any one of those guys for second. They're all seconded at the same time.
Everybody seconded.
Choose your second.
Thank
I need, you need some signatures on there, so I think.
This needs, somebody needs to,
Don't worry.
Yeah, we need it.
You can just let Gary
Yeah.
pick it up on the way, or?
Yep, I'll give you Gary.
No worries.
The boxes, the fire guys, right,
Yes.
the boxes in
Yes.
there? No, but they're right in on the table, right